Hello, this is OCR Further Statistics. We're in Bivariate Data 2, Rank Correlation, and the third and final video on comparison of tests. The first question to ask is, should I do a test at all? If a scatter diagram shows no evidence of monotonic increasing relationship between the two variables, then it's not appropriate to do a test at all, using either Pearson or Spearman. Remember, in a monotonic relationship, as one increases, the other either always increases or always decreases. Of course, the data will show some variation, but we need a basic monotonic trend, not data which goes down and then up again. Let's look at some scatter diagrams to illustrate these points. For the first scatter diagram, there does seem to be an association. As one goes up, so does the other. But it's a curve, not a linear relationship, so that means we need to use Spearman, not Pearson. For the second example, it appears that there's no correlation at all. It's extremely weak, if anything, barely recognisable, not worth testing for. The third one is definitely not monotonic. It goes up and down, so neither test is appropriate. For the fourth one, as it stands, it's not appropriate. It's not monotonic. But if we only include the main sequence points, we could do a test, as long as we remember we're only doing it for one section of the data. If this is a distinct group, that's fine. So, if we've decided to do a test, which test should we use? Correlation is a linear relationship between the variables. So if we're looking for correlation, we can't use Spearman. Remember, Spearman investigates only for a general monotonic relationship, not a specifically linear one. But if we want to use Pearson, it must satisfy all of these conditions. Remember that if the data is bivariate normal, the scatter diagram will be roughly elliptical. Whereas a test using Spearman requires no assumptions. Do remember that if we use Spearman, we lose a lot of information, since we're using the ranks and not the actual data. So if we can use Pearson, we should do. Pause the video for a moment while you decide which test you should use for each of these datasets. OK, looking at the first one, it's not elliptical, and we've got outliers, so we need to use Spearman. For the second one, again, it's not elliptical, and it's clearly non-linear, so we need to use Spearman. Similarly, for the third one, it's not elliptical and it's not linear, so we need to use Spearman. In the fourth one, though, we have a lovely ellipse and no outliers, so we can use Pearson here and therefore should use Pearson. That's the end of this video on comparison of tests and the end of this section.